Hey, who's in the room with me? Let's sit at the table and talk. This is Emerald. Thank you for joining me again. So delicious. Let me explain why I'm so passionate about the fruits and the produce here, because it really has changed my system, my digestive system, my mood, my mental clarity. Everything is linked. We're connected. We're connected, but the system is connected, and we can't ignore that. So if your immune system is low, if your digestive system is off, if your mental clarity is not there, like you're not performing at maximum proficiency. And that is part of the reason why I chose to come to Kenya, why I chose to basically give up everything else. Honestly, I shouldn't say give up, because my family's still there, my friends are still there, but I chose an alternate way of living my life now at this stage of the game. And I want to encourage anyone who's been thinking to get off the fence. We are at a pinnacle time in history, not just politically, not just financially, but as a society and the health of one's being. Break it down. So your individual health, your mental health, your physical health, you have to make a choice. And this is where I'm at. This is why I chose a few years back to do what I'm doing and to be here right now. So I say all that to say this, is that I keep saying that. Why do I say that? I think it's one of my favorite lines. And I have to go back to, in Jamaica we have a lot of colloquialisms and sayings, and I'm telling you, my mom comes out with some of these things and I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Because we have a saying for everything. So that's why I keep saying certain phrases. But anyways, forgive me, let's move on. So yeah, this choice of mindful choice of moving from the West to be here, to live my best life, to enjoy the sunshine. I've taken you through, I've shown you my view that I see every day, that I enjoy, that I love, but I haven't actually shared what else I've been working on. And the beauty here is that in Kenya, unlike the West, where in the West you have to do so many side hustles just to get by, just to exist, just to make rent. And those side hustles become more side hassles. Now, understand what I'm saying. They're not hustles, they're hassles, because you can take on a business venture, and before you know it, you're paying for everybody else and you're not taking home. It might look good on paper that you have made X amount in 2024, but you're still like, what the hell? And I still owe the government. So this is why I said enough is enough. When you've been doing this, you've been on this hamster wheel ongoing for many years, thinking you're digging yourself out of debt, you're actually digging yourself deeper into debt. I was fortunate enough to have a business, many different businesses actually, and the more I accumulated, the more I realized that, wait a second, the line of credit is going higher. How come I can't pay this down? The credit card bill's higher. And that was, at one point I was like, okay, this is too daunting, because it doesn't make sense that I'm really putting out so much effort and energy only to realize that other people are the ones benefiting. And I'm not saying that you don't pay your suppliers, you don't pay your employees, of course you have to. But what I'm saying is, like, now you become a slave to the business to pay other people. That doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. And now let me touch on investment. So even if you are able to be in a position where you're able to invest in certain assets and certain businesses, again, at the end of the day, you might be facing a situation where any of the sale of those assets is a tax liable situation where you're having to pay tax capital gains on those. And again, you're back to square one. So I'm not saying it's for that this happens to everyone. But for the majority of society, for the majority of individuals that I know are going through this. And yes, maybe you were fortunate enough to buy real estate when real estate was not like what it is now. And you have equity in the houses, and you have equity in your properties, and you've got, not just your personal property, maybe you have some rental properties, you have equity there. But there comes a time where there will be, even upon death, God forbid, but there comes a time where, the taxman comes knocking. And then what? So, again, I say all that to say this, is that I made a conscious decision to get out of the box. Literally, for years, I've been thinking out of the box. Okay, how can I do this? What can I do? Where can I place my money so that it can grow steadily? I've tried so many different things. I won't lie to you. And I've gained experience. I've gained some, lost a lot. But it's not because, sometimes you think, oh, well, I should have pivot there or turn right instead of left. But where I'm going with this is that I've made and I've lost. And what it has taught me is that I could stay on the hamster wheel and keep chasing the returns. But really and truly, after all that, I'm giving up my health, my well-being, my mental clarity, and I had to make a decision. I took a step back. So follow me on the next few videos where I explain what it is I'm doing here in Kenya. And until then, let me continue to enjoy my pineapple.